wherever you are. Thank you guys for joining me here. Shout out to every member of the Crypto Citadel crew. Shout out to the Orcas group. Shout out to PowerMine. Shout out to the IOST community. Shout out to Blade for requesting this video. So this is a special video for Blade, who asked me to do a video, and he goes, "Sensei, can you make a YouTube video on the basics of how to learn how to read charts so I can become a Picasso like you, sir?" So first of all, thank you for asking. This is not every day that someone asks me to do a video, but I will title this one "How to Get Your Chart as Messy as Mine." So without further ado, let's just get to this. So usually we just get any Bitcoin. Yeah, let's do Bitcoin. We'll get a Bitcoin chart, and this one is an empty one. What I usually do when I start and look at a chart, say it's my first time looking at that chart, I'll look into the weekly, okay, and that should give me an idea of the general trend of that chart. If you look at BTC USDT on Bybit, you can see Bitcoin has been on a general uptrend. Okay, let me go back to the 4 hours. Okay, usually that's the first thing you should do when looking at a coin. Look in what kind of trend is it. Okay, and the second thing I'll usually do is to put some straight lines. So for you to put a straight line, you will come over here to the horizontal line, or Alt H on your keyboard as a shortcut. So usually I'll use my shortcut, so you just point where you want to have your straight line. So if I want to have a straight line on this top over here, I just pointed it and I go Alt H on my keyboard. If I want to put a straight line over here, I go Alt H over here. If I want to put another one over here, and Alt H here, and another one over there, and Alt H there. Okay, so basically on this trend, what we're saying is we had some support here, we went up, we trashed this resistance here, we went up, we got resistance above there, we dumped, we came here and supported, we rallied, we rejected and started ranging here, we broke out of here, went up, and are now rejecting the top here. So how would one trade this particular trend or this particular range over here? So usually I'll probably put a line here like that. So what I'll be watching is for the trend to possibly, let's have a brush, for trend to possibly paint something like that, maybe going that way, or fail to hold and drop that way. Okay, one of those two things, or trend could just do this and that and that, and eventually that. One of those other things. Right, so in the micro trend, you could have another horizontal line over here, so you could expect some resolution over here. Alt V for a vertical line. Okay, you could expect some resolution here around the 18th of August. That's something we will do. So my lines are usually extended, so you can have, this is a trend line, you can see that my trend line usually extends after that. What this does is that sometimes if you extend the line, this line becomes active again. If for example BTC breaks this top here and retraces, this line will become important again. For example, if BTC decides to go from below here, touch down here and start rallying, it might come again and retest here. So I always like to extend my lines to the second point here. If you don't want to extend your lines, you simply double click on your line and you go into style and you take off extend right line. So you can extend the line either to the left or to the right. I usually extend to the right because that's where the trend generally goes. It goes from left to right. So if you don't want to extend, you simply deactivate that function and you have control over your line there. So how you read this? You had support over there, you rally, you hit resistance, you come back, you didn't quite make it down here, you got supported by this line, you rallied, you had another resistance here, and you beat resistance here. That's why you now see trend is now curving over here. So it's now coming and talking to this line over here. So we could expect a rise above that or a complete rejection and baht down into that end. Okay, so those are some of the things that I do when doing all those charts. Other things that I look into that are more advanced is possible parallel channels, possible ciphers within the trend. So if you could look at this, my internet is really slow today, but this could be considered a parallel if you put it there and there and there. Okay, some people will trade that in that particular fashion. So I'm gonna redo that. You go into your parallel tool over here, or you find it over there under your parallel items. Where is it? There you go, parallel channel. If you like this item, you just put a star next to it and it should fill up on your favorites bar over here. So this is a parallel. You click the second point and boom, you now have your parallel line. It's above my trend. What I usually do is right click on it, visual order, and you send it to back, so you can have your candles nicely arranged in front of the parallel there. So what would happen here is possibly another test down here and maybe a drop into testing further lows here, or another support and then a further attempt to the top here. So we could expect, if it does tend to the upside, you could expect an attempt at here. So that's it on the parallels there. Another item that I like is the gun fan. So a gun fan is a very powerful item. With a gun fan, what you need to define first of all is a 45-degree angle. 45-degree angle, it's over there. Where is it found? Here. There you go. On your second item, you have the trend angle there. You just select that, choose any low for a gun fan. Okay, and usually gun fans, the basic rule is that they move in 45 degrees perfect angle. 45 degrees is a very powerful angle. Some of the times you need to have a real, what is it, they call it a true 45 degrees. So with a chart in this format, sometimes it's not in a true 45 degrees. If you zoom in, you can see that the candles don't really react with the 45 degrees. The angle is right, but the trend is not, let's say, zooming together with it. So if you want to research more on gun fan, you really need to understand that gun fans work exactly at 45 degrees. So just to explain this, I'll just have like a rough idea of what a gun fan will do. So this is a perfect 45. I'll just need to adjust my trend to match a bit with it. Okay, so that will be a good match there. You can see trend reacting here, dumps, comes back, touches, dumps, goes back up, touches, goes back up, touches, and rejects. So that's quite a good 45 angle there. So what you do, you take your gun fan, a gun will be on the third item here, there's your gun fan there, click on it, click, and the 45 degrees is usually on the 1-to-1. This white line here is the 1-to-1. you click on that. Okay, that's a perfect 45 degrees gun fan. So the beauty of gun is that it provides multiple resistance and supports at the same time, and you can trade based on that. So the idea on the gun fan is that once you break one of the fans, you will inevitably go and visit the next fan. If this fan was broken, then trend will try and attempt for the 1.2. 1/1 is pretty hard resistance, so that's why you see these multiple rejections and drops below it. There's a rejection, there's a rejection, and once rejected, it has to retrace to the next fan. And you see this fan hugging the line there like a true magnet there. Once it drops it, it inevitably goes and visits the next fan, and it drops there, almost touching on this next fan, only to find its way up. So on this break here, you could have longed this towards the next fan. Since it started sluggishly behaving like that, you can now stop loss around here. Okay, so once you hit that, you will probably now start descending into this next fan, and so on and so on. So with a gun fan, the only con on a fan is that the farther you go, the wider the fan becomes. So it becomes much of a early trend detector. Okay, it works beautifully on the beginning, and then as it goes wide, it becomes very, very unusual to hit. Okay, that's it on the gun fans there. Really nice tool there. Another item that I really like is the curves. So we have a curve here. Okay, so with a curve, you will identify the curving of a trend and try to match where the trend will go, but with a curve and as opposed to a line. So you simply click where you want your curve to begin. Say I wanted it to begin here, I'll click that, and I'll just extend to where I want it to end. Once I get there, I click, okay, and I adjust my curve to what I'm seeing on the charts at that particular time. So I'll fine tune that probably to match this, and I'll take that further back, probably here. Okay, that'll be a beautiful, beautiful curve. We could be skeptic about it and maybe go over here. Okay, so as you can see now, we really now hugging this trend, and I could say maybe take a long over here because this is not yet broken, but soon this line breaks below it. I know that that's a red flag, and the trend is definitely going to revisit lower. Okay, that's it on the curve there. There is a more advanced curve, this one here on the double curve. So this is, as it says, a double curve. So what we'll try to identify here could be, depending on how you're trading, just click what you see and click on that, let you go there, okay, and possibly over here. Perfect, perfect. I think this is it. And on the side, okay, this side will remain relatively like optional. You still don't know where exactly this is going, but if I was to match with what I'm seeing on the other end, probably this is what I will have here. Okay, possibly this. So I will watch for any potential signs of turning here on the trend, and then I'll bring this and adjust and see where this would take. Possibly like that. Okay, possibly that will go there, and that will be a major bullish sign into the upside. As soon as you drop below it, you know it's a red flag, and you should ignore that call and start looking for shorting opportunities with a stop loss above last known resistance. So this is just some of the few things I do when I'm trying to read these charts, and it's really basic stuff. It's not like rocket science. It's just like basic trend lines and a bunch of gun things. And once you start getting a hang of those things and you do it on a regular basis, it kind of becomes like second nature, and eventually your chart will be like really messy over time, if you don't really erase them. And that's how I became Chart Picasso. I just see what I see and I draw on what I see. It's not really based on major volume readings or major news reading. It's just what I do with my free time, and I like to do it that way, and usually it has served me well, and I've been doing pretty well with that style of trading. So I hope I could shed some light on how I usually chart those things, on how I place my lines and whatnot. And thank you, Blade, again for requesting this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and see you next time, guys. Thank you. Bye.